I have another delicious crock pot recipe for you. If you guys love crock pot cooking as much as my sister Carrie and I do, you're gonna love this crock pot creamy ranch chicken dinner. My favorite thing is that it's a all meal in one pot, so you don't need any sides or anything. It's easy to make and packed with flavor. It has over 600 5-star reviews, and it's for good reason, because this recipe is amazing. Hi, my name is Christina. I am with eatingonadime.com. Thank you so much for joining me today in my kitchen. Now, I've linked today's recipe, crock pot creamy ranch chicken, in the description below. If you can't find it, you can always go to eatingonadime.com and search creamy ranch chicken and it'll pull right up, or you can just Google eating on a dime creamy ranch chicken and that'll work too. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Now let's start this delicious recipe. You will need a crock pot for today's crock pot recipe. That's how it works. I am using a 6-quart crock pot today. The crock pot that I'm using is called a multi-cooker. It has a metal liner instead of a ceramic, and I love these. They're awesome and they're great. I highly recommend them if you're in the market for a new crock pot. Now in the description, I've also linked a post to all of our favorite crock pots so you can check them out. For today's recipe, you will need at least a 6-quart crock pot. You can do larger and use an 8-quart if you would like, but with all the ingredients, I don't think it'll fit in a smaller one. So 6-quart is the minimum size. All right, to get started, we will need 4 boneless, skinless chicken breasts. I am using fresh today, but you can use frozen. You just want to cook it a little bit longer in the crock pot and it works great. That's my favorite thing about crock pot cooking, is that you can put protein in frozen and it works out great every time. Now, you can use boneless, skinless chicken thighs in this recipe if you prefer. I would just recommend that you use a boneless chicken option instead of a bone-in, because it's an all-in-one pot meal and you don't want to have to worry about the bones. So chicken in the crock pot, and then we need 2 cups baby carrots, and we're just going to dump those right on top. You can also use regular carrots, just peel them and cut them into large chunks if you're going to use those instead. Next, let's add some potatoes. Love it. I'm using russet potatoes, about 4. My rule of thumb with crock pot cooking on ingredients is add into the crock pot what your family is going to eat. So if they're big potato eaters and they want more potatoes, just add in more potatoes and it's going to cook all in the pot and it's going to be awesome. You can also use baby potatoes, gold potatoes, red potatoes, any of those will work. Now, if I was using yellow potatoes, I probably wouldn't peel them, but on the russet, definitely peel them and dice them into bite-sized pieces. So I'm just gonna get this started here and just dump it right into the bowl. Once they're peeled, go ahead and dice them into large chunks. You don't want them too small or they will completely disintegrate in the crock pot. So I'm just going to cut these into large pieces here. Oops, I caught it. Don't worry, I caught it with my leg. Woohoo! So about this size here works great, and just throw them right into the crock pot. Things never work out perfectly when you're being filmed, so we're just gonna roll with it today. Again, if you're using smaller potatoes, just leave them in there whole, and that'll be great as well. I just cut these into about thirds and then cut them in half. So you can always just do it like cut it in half here, and then. Now it's time to make the sauce. This is what really gives it all the flavor, and it's really easy, I promise. First, you want a can of cream of chicken soup. It's approximately, I think, like a 10-ounce can. Works great. We do have a homemade version. If you prefer homemade, at eatingonadime.com, just search cream of chicken soup and that you can pull it up for you. And that way, if it's not available in your area, you can just make it at home. And then 1 cup milk. Let's see if I can do this without spilling it. Perfect. And then 1 package ranch seasoning mix. Let's see how big this is, because I know it's a 1 ounce package. I always like to do this to get it all at the bottom there, because I want every bit of that for the flavor. Just put all these ingredients in a mixing bowl, and then we're gonna whisk it together. This step is really important just because you don't want clumps of that ranch seasoning in your meal. So you might be tempted just to dump it all in the crock pot, but take the 2 extra minutes and just whisk it together, and it's gonna make sure that your meal turns out perfectly. Just make sure that it's all combined, and then pour it over the chicken and the veggies in the crock pot. Now it's time to cook it. You can cook this crock pot recipe on low or on high. So if you're cooking on low, it's gonna take about 7 to 8 hours on low until everything's tender and cooked through. If you're cooking on high, it's just gonna take 3 to 4. So my favorite thing is you can put this crock pot meal on before you go to work, or you can throw it in on your lunch break and still have dinner done either way. I am going to go ahead and cook this on low. Go ahead and get this started. And I'm gonna check it at 7 hours. Now, if you chose to use frozen chicken breast, go ahead and do 7.5, 8 hours just to make sure that chicken gets nice and tender. It's been cooking for about 7 hours now on low. Again, you can cook it on high. You will know when it's done when the potatoes are like fork tender. Like I tried to pick one up and it just fell apart. And the chicken does the same. On this recipe, the chicken is left whole, so I do not shred it. But you do want to make sure that it's cooked all the way through and that it could easily shred if you want to. Once it's done, that's all you need to do. If you want to thicken the sauce, you can add a cornstarch slurry to your crock pot. So to do that, I would mix 2 tablespoons cornstarch with 2 tablespoons cold water and stir that into the sauce for about 30 minutes on high or an hour on low. But for me, the sauce is perfect just as is. I'm perfectly fine with it being a little bit thinner. Then you just serve it up, the chicken. And I like to serve this in like a shallow bowl just so I can get extra sauce instead of on a plate, but it's completely up to you. But I'm a sauce girl. The more sauce, the better. And then when you serve, just spoon some of that extra sauce from the crock pot on top. It smells and looks amazing. My favorite thing about this meal is it's truly a 1-pot meal. Now, if you want a green veggie, you could just serve this with a side salad and dinner is complete, nutritious, and it's gonna be amazing. I cannot wait to try this. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you try out this crock pot meal, and if you do, please leave a review on our website letting us know what you think. We love hearing from you guys. It's so fun and awesome. Do not forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any more of our easy, family-friendly crock pot recipes. Thank you so much for joining me today in my kitchen, and I will see you guys next time for another easy recipe. Ooh, I cannot wait to try this. Cheers. Bye, friends.